Get Pucked. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Pucked podcast. Noticeably one man down, but Matt, Luca, and Vito here today. How you boys doing?
Pretty great.
Excellent. The season is upon us.
It is right around the corner. That said, still 2 preseason games to go. Plenty of storylines, plenty of things that have been going on. And I want to get into it with you guys. So, right out the gate, I feel it's almost a necessity at this point. There's been a lot of talk about Ryanbacher in particular, and he's injured yet again. And so really, I guess my question is, like, in your opinion, do you feel that we're at the point now where it's happened enough times that there is cause to be concerned? Is he the type of guy that we're going to start to label very soon as injury prone? I don't want to use the label soft like some other people are kind of throwing out there. I don't think that's the right term. If you get hurt, it doesn't necessarily mean you're soft. But injury prone certainly is a thing. There are players that are out there that have never really reached their ceiling due to injuries that have built up early on in their career. What's that?
Kirby Doc.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, well, listen, you may be not wrong there. But realistically for Ryanbacher, a very high pick, like Doc, but still there was a lot of criticality out there about that pick when he was taken, particularly due to who was taken right after him. And so I won't say a tremendous amount is riding on him for the future of the Canadiens, but there's a lot of eggs in that basket. The organization believes a lot in him. However, there has, like I said, been a multitude of times now where he has gotten hurt for prolonged periods of time. The latest one is his hand. Apparently he's going to be out, they say, 4 weeks. But it's another one. So again, the question, is this something to start concerning yourself about when it comes to this player? Or is this just a really bad run of luck? And you know what? He can just as easily not be injured again, knock wood, for the rest of his career after this. What do you think?
I think it's just bad luck at this point. It was his hand. If it was his knees again or something like that, then I'd be like, okay, there's a big problem here. Like if his knees would have gone out, if he would have got hurt something like that again, then you have to look and say, okay, he's got fragile knees. He's barely played in the NHL at this point, and it's just this is really bad. Even from a development standpoint, I know a lot of people have mentioned, that this is going to hinder his development. I mean, kinda. Somebody on X had done the math, and it was like he's going to miss maybe 7 games with the Laval Rocket, and he was likely going to be a fixture for Laval anyway, so he could get prime minutes and play as much as he possibly can and get those big minutes. So it's not so bad. It does suck that it just happens to this guy. You could have seen that he was motivated and he was trying to he was still a bit. You can see he was a bit during the preseason games and the training camp. He was a little bit behind the pace of game, and that's probably because he's had the knee injuries and he's missed some time. But he was always going to be Laval bound, so I'm not going to label him as injury prone. Unfortunately, there's always going to be people that are going to come out of the woodworks and just like rip on him because of who was drafted after him, the draft year, where he was drafted. It's kind of like the Kotkaniemi effect in a sense, right? Early on in Kotkaniemi's career, before he. We got to see what he became. He was, people were ripping into him because right after him, you had other players that people had in mind and targeted. So it's in that same kind of like, Ryanbacher's always going to fall into that until he proves that he can be that first pairing right-handed defenseman. And until then, he's going to have to just deal with that heat and deal with that pressure. And it's the Montreal market, and players know when they get drafted, especially very high, that they're in that kind of market where they're going to have to deal with that. But I wouldn't label him, to go back to it, I wouldn't label him as injury prone just yet. It was bad luck. It's a hand. He went there. He actually did his job as a defenseman, so to speak. He blocked a shot, and it broke a bone in his hand.
Isn't it the second time he injures his hand, though?
No, I don't think it's the second time that he injures his hand.
No, he didn't injure in his home country.
Okay. What are we going to say about Gallagher? His hand got wounded twice. He's still playing,
what I mean? But Gallagher's already going into his 50th year or something.
I get it, but these are like, this was like a freak injury in a sense, right? He went and do the play, and the puck just happened to hit his hand. And
is he the kind of guy where the freak injuries, like Final Destination, are they chasing him? You know what I mean? Like some guys
no.
but you really don't think some guys are just more injury prone than other guys for whatever the reason is? You want to call it luck or bad
There
luck?
are injury prone players. There's things that are bad luck, and then there's players who put themselves in bad situations. Here, I'll give you an example of somebody who put themselves in a bad situation. Patrick Laine last year when he had his knee injury, the way he took that stride and tried to deke and all that, for a guy who had that much NHL experience, when you look at the play he did, he put himself in a very vulnerable position, which now you look and you say, okay, that's different. That's not even a freak accident. That was your own negligence, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to Ryanbacher, the guy just puck hit his hand.
To pump the brakes just a second, because go back about a year to this day, practically when that happened, we did a deep dive analysis on that, and we saw the Leafs player stick his knee out. We made a whole big thing about it. That wasn't necessarily a freak accident, more so as a bad hockey. Should he have been doing a move like that? Perhaps not. But the guy stuck his knee out.
It was both.
Whatever his name was. I can't remember that plumber's name.
It was both. It was both a bad play, and at the same time, it was also Laine did what he did there. He tried to pull a move that there wasn't the time to do it in a preseason game.
But to what you're suggesting, then, I mean, if you talk about Ryanbacher and how he just got hurt now, he didn't put him. He did what you said. He did his job. Yeah. And even then, he's still getting hurt.
It's a hand injury. I bet you anything. If this was playoffs, if this was playoffs, he was playing it. But because it's preseason, it's a broken bone. I mean, last year, even if you want to go, was it a wrist or a hand injury? That's what Laine had. He couldn't shoot. The difference is that Laine has to shoot to be successful. Ryanbacher, he could have been a defenseman with a broken bone in his hand, but it's not the playoffs. It's preseason. Who cares? Go rest up. Get a cast. Get a splint. Whatever it is.
Okay.
And then come back. Go play your 25 minutes a game in Laval, and that's it. He was Laval bound anyways. But to answer your question, I don't think he's injury prone yet. I'm not willing to put that label on him. If he got another knee injury, then I would have said this guy's knees is messed up. His knees are ruined.
So bad luck. That's it. That's what
I am attributing it to bad luck right now. And it's not about where he was drafted, who was drafted. It's literally this guy at the end of the day, whether you wanted him at 5 or not, he was a top 7, top 8 pick and was the best defenseman of that draft by scouts and by people way better than us. Yes, he's no Michkov.
5 pick, but yeah.
Right? So he's not a Michkov. He's not whatever. Fine. I still believe that he can be that first. He could be what Devin Taves is to Cale Makar. He could be that for Lane Hudson in the future.
Okay. Very good. You're entitled to your opinion, sir. You indeed are, even though you may be wrong. Luca.
My opinion, the Canadiens are cursed. It's not. It's just they're cursed, man. Every year, there's like multiple injuries. It's like ridiculous. Just like there's always something. There's always something that takes out our. We get a new toy, and like the player gets injured. Like it's ridiculous. Like Laine was the new addition. Preseason he gets injured. It's every year there's something. Now Ryanbacher, he's back from his injury. Maybe he won't get injured. Preseason he gets injured. It's every year there's something.
Hey, there's teams right now in the NHL that are in worse spots than us losing Ryanbacher for Laval for 7 days.
Yeah, I know.
For 7 games. So sorry. I mean, Florida just lost Barkov before the puck even dropped.
But and that wasn't even a preseason game. That was in practice.
That was just practice.
Practice. Things happen. Things happen. I understand, Lucas.
The Rangers just lost JT Miller. They don't know for the extent on that one.
Yeah. There's quite a few teams out there. There's actually quite a few injuries, and of course,
it's crazy.
But
it's crazy.
To the point of the question, though, you're saying, like, well, you say that the whole team is cursed, but about this player in particular, is there cause to be concerned about him? Do you think, or is it just like you're kind of making a joke, like team's cursed, bad luck, whatever, kind of like Vito's saying?
I am making a joke, and I feel the concern, but I'm also hopeful because at the end of the day, it is just a tiny little hand injury. That's
just a little broken bone in the hand.
I'll say this: if it was an injury that was going to take him out 3 to 4 months, 5 months, something like that, or like half a season, then I'd say, Ryanbacher's screwed because he'd be too far back in the development curve at this point. By the time he catches up to that, and if he's able to catch up and doesn't, another injury doesn't pile up after he would come back from something like that, then you're looking, you're saying, okay, it's going to take
yeah.
them. Already defensemen take longer to mature than forwards do, and things like that. So could you imagine, like, if it was a bigger injury than that, and all of a sudden, it's going to take about 2-3 years for him to catch up, and you're saying that a fifth overall pick is going to really, you're going to see what you're going to get from him at the age of 24, 25. So, but it's not. It's literally 7 games. 7 games with the Laval Rocket is all.
Well, first, listen, at the time of this recording, that's what the prognosis is now. I mean, we'll see. You always, like, these things are strange, right? They give you a timeline and then suddenly something, and now it's another extended time. We don't know. But what we do know about this particular player is there's a lot of hope in him. Like you say, he was drafted to be a top pairing defenseman. He has had his development already hampered. This is yet another bump in that road. Sure, it's only 4 weeks this time. He comes back, but you're starting to notice a trend. And it's the same sort of thing like when you mentioned Doc, it's the same thing. It's like, as much as you got a lot riding on the kid and you see the talent, some guys just have a knack of getting hurt. And it could be via an accident. It could be just a simple thing like Barkov in a practice and you just go down. It could be doing your job and blocking a shot and it breaks your hand. I mean, but it just happens. And then you got other guys that go their whole career and they never get a scratch. So I don't know. I'm not saying 100% he's injury prone yet, like you say this, but I think it's more than just bad luck, guys.
I'll say this. I'll say that he's not. I still don't think he's injury prone. I still think he's got a very promising career. I still think that I see the vision where Montreal wants to go with him. I see where they could slot him down the road, just like everybody else can. I would say this though, and if you call it a hot take, for the right piece, I wouldn't make him. He's not an untouchable for me. He's not an untouchable for me. But if ever, and he's not an untouchable.
Why? Why are you saying that?
Especially, and I'm going to say this. It's especially because they got Dobson.
So he's not an untouchable anymore because they got a replacement piece.
They got a right-hand
considerably older than Ryanbacher.
Yes, but before that, let's say there was no Dobson. Before that, when you looked at the pipeline for right-hand defenseman, there's just Carrier and Bogdan. That's it. Take if you put Ryanbacher aside when he wasn't there, right? So now you look and you say Dobson, no matter what, it could be your first pairing guy if Ryanbacher doesn't materialize into something, and Dobson is a fantastic player. So now you could say, okay, they would have to go and address the right-hand defenseman again, but for a second pairing all of a sudden. So I'm saying I would, for the right piece and package, I'm not just giving away Ryanbacher, but if somebody would come out and say, here's a long-term 2C or another right-hand defenseman, whatever the case may be, a package that addresses another need, but they want Ryanbacher as part of it, and it's a big check mark. Like, let's say if you would have told me McTavish for Ryanbacher, a package that starts with Ryanbacher. Now McTavish is signed; he's locked in, and the story. But before he signed, I would consider it at this stage. And then when the upcoming draft comes along, or the trade deadline or whatever, you could go find. It's easier to find a second pairing RD than a guy that you're trying to group to be a first pairing RD, especially now that you have Dobson there. So I mean, people might not agree with that take.
Well, I think they're going to not agree because of the age. Honestly,
yeah,
if Dobson was a year older than Ryanbacher and showing what he shows,
he's
like
25. Dobson's 25, entering his prime years as a defenseman.
Yes, yeah. But the other kid is, I think, 20.
Yeah. But this is what I'm saying. He's 20 years old. The Montreal Canadiens, their other weak spot, which really is not as weak as it was since they got Dobson, was the right-hand defense. Before it was the right-hand defense and the 2C. Now, because they got Dobson and you see Ryanbacher in the pipeline, and there's Bogdan, and there's players who actually are in Montreal that are left-handed but can't play right, the main focus is really 2C still. But again, if all of a sudden you're telling me that you could get a bona fide 2C young who's part of the long-term plans, and the cost is going to be Ryanbacher, a few months ago I would have been like, no, you can't afford to lose Ryanbacher. The Montreal Canadiens just don't have the depth on the right defense to do that.
Well, we'll have to go check the tapes because I feel like, and I want to move on to something else after this, but I feel like we talked about this during the summer, and Dobson was already acquired, and part of going through the discussion about what we would give up to go get a 2C, a lot of those conversations, whenever Ryanbacher was mentioned, I believe the majority here said we wouldn't move him.
I'm not just giving him away.
No one's saying that you give it away, but you wouldn't include him in the package.
If we're going to go with the context that maybe he's injury prone or there's concerns about his injury history and all that stuff.
So you are prepared to move him because he might be injury prone.
I'm not necessarily prepared. I'm not going out and shopping. No, I'm not going out and shopping. I'm just saying he's not an untouchable. Like Lane Hutson's an untouchable for me.
Okay, very fair.
Yeah, but he's not
Ivan Demidov is an untouchable for me.
But he's untouchable because of Dobson?
What are you talking about? No, he is touchable. He became a
touchable.
More...
No, sorry, he's not an untouchable because of Dobson.
He can
be not an untouchable. Yeah.
Right.
He can be moved if for the right, again, not shopped. If they had to make the right move, because the Canadiens now have Dobson penciled in on RD when there was nobody else before there who can basically take over a top 4 defensive role, then it makes Ryanbacher movable, so to speak.
I understand like what you're saying, the logic behind it. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but like you said, it was a hot take, and that's perfectly fine.
Because think of it this way:
you don't like Ryanbacher, I understand.
No, it has nothing to do with it. If Ryanbacher was ready to play now, he'd be slotted on the second pairing RD.
Well, to start with, yeah, of course.
And that's because they would have probably moved Matheson and all that stuff, because at that point, right now, who's slotted to play RD on the second pairing? It's Lane Hudson.
Yeah. He's
playing offhand.
Listen, I want to talk about a different position and different players. And again, with the whole idea that the preseason is winding down to an end, I think at the time of recording today, there's going to be 2 games left. So the regular season's right around the corner. There has been cuts already made to the roster. Notably, Josh Roy and Shane Farrell were sent down and unclaimed. Little interesting point there. What did I say? Shane? Oh, Shane Farrell. Sean Farrell. Yeah. So with them down, there's a couple of guys that are still left behind. I'm curious now if you've gotten a good enough feel where you're comfortable to throw out a name or two that you think are your guys to lock in. I guess this is between Veleno and Kapanen and Sammy Blais and these type of guys. Florian's still up there. Like, who are your guys that you think are going to be the ones that are going to make the team? We're going to start with Luca because you've been talking for like 10 minutes. Go, Luca.
So who's left? There's Florian Xhekaj. There's Owen Beck is still there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I went to the game, the person that impressed me the most was definitely Meshar and Owen Beck. So
is Meshar still up there too?
No,
he got sent down.
So that's why I'm bringing up Beck. For me, definitely. I mean, maybe he needs a little bit more seasoning, but he blew me away that night. He was like on the puck like a hound. He didn't stop. He was like making beautiful passes. He was making beautiful plays. His skating is fantastic. He's there. He's maybe one more season in the AHL, but if anybody deserves a spot, it's either him or Florian Xhekaj. But I think he wants it more.
Interesting. Okay, so you got it because obviously we're talking about the fourth line. So your fourth line looks like. You got, well, actually, tell me who you got to see on your fourth line.
So I have, Owen Beck.
Okay, he's playing wing?
Yeah.
Okay, with Jake Evans presumably at center?
Jake Evans and
okay.
Who's left on the left?
Well, it's one of the other guys.
One of the other guys.
Right? So you see Florian.
I see either Florian or Veleno plays center, doesn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, both. He can do both.
Yeah. So I guess Veleno for me.
Okay.
Veleno, I didn't watch him live, but like last game he was phenomenal.
He had a strong outing.
Yeah, he definitely.
Agreed. We got Vito busy looking over, trying to check the list here.
No.
Who do you got?
From what I saw, the fourth line, it's already pretty much made up of Jake Evans, Gallagher, and Anderson. That's who's projected to be on the fourth line at the moment.
Wow.
And they've moved Demidov to the third line with Newhook.
Yeah, but that's still preseason. Things are being mixed around, man.
But all this to say, I'd say Florian Xhekaj has earned the 9-game stint.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's earned the 9 games. The way he's been playing, he's hungrier. He's earned it.
Yeah.
Beck, I think Beck is going to end up in Laval anyway. I think this is where I think is going to happen with Beck. Kapanen's got the NHL experience. He's going to be a lock to just stay. Okay, he's going to stay with Montreal. Plus, he's got like I said, NHL experience. Beck doesn't have that yet, but I would say that Beck's floor and what he's capable of being as an all-round player, he's got more upside and more bite to his game than somebody like Kapanen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that Kapanen's bad. Kapanen actually had a very good preseason, good training camp. Like, there's nothing wrong there. But if you're telling me which one to pick, I would say that Beck is going to be knocking on the door and he's going to probably take Kapanen's spot at some point. Joe Veleno has untapped potential. For whatever reason, Detroit wasn't able to figure it out with him, and Chicago barely gave him a chance. But when you watch this guy play and his speed and skating and his face and the way he takes his face-offs, there's a role for this kid in the NHL. And Montreal, and I feel like Montreal is a good place and with Marty St. Louis to figure it out with him. So I think Joe Veleno makes the team and he stays there. I think ultimately Florian Xhekaj will get sent down unless he just continues on this path that he's on, and at that point you're just going to have to send down somebody like Sammy Blais to waivers and call it a day. So I'm looking at it as a 9-game stint for Florian. Joe Veleno for sure stays, and Kapanen's going to stay, and you're going to have Sammy Blais as your 13th forward.
But that's what you think is going to happen.
You have too many players. You've named too many guys. So Caulfield, Suzuki. I'm looking it up because we're naming names here. Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slav. Yeah. Then you got Laine, Doc, and Demidov. Let's just say is your 6. Then you can go. You said your 4th line is Evans, Anderson, and Gallagher. You got 3 left. Newhook's one of them, and Zach Bolduc is the other one. So you got 1 spot left. And a 13th man. So it's either Kapanen, who you're saying, or it's Veleno, or who?
It's Veleno's going to stay.
So then Kapanen goes down.
It's either Kapanen goes down, or to avoid any problem it's going to be Florian Xhekaj. But not to say that, and it's probably going to be like Florian. You'll be called up soon enough. Just go do what you got to do in Laval.
See, if I look at this roster, to me, and from what I've been witnessing, and Florian has been playing fantastically, but he's one of the easier guys to send down, and what you could reliably get if you need to call him up. And starting next year, this is a kid who you keep an extra special attention on a little bit. I send Florian down. I think Joe Veleno makes the team. I think comments that you get from guys like Lane Hudson, who are out in the media saying that he looks hungry and he can't wait to see him on opening night roster, means something.
Oh, it does.
So to me, Joe Veleno is going to center that third line, is what I think, with Newhook and Bolduc for now.
I also wouldn't be surprised that even though he's got NHL experience and whatnot, I wouldn't be surprised if Sammy Blais gets sent down too. If Florian Xhekaj is the player they say we got to keep him here even as a 13th forward or whatnot for now and interchange him.
Florian's going down. He's going to be sent down because they want him to play. They want him to keep developing. It's not even an interesting question, but the real question would be your 13th forward. Who is it? Is it Sammy Blais or is it Kapanen? And I think it's Sammy Blais because Sammy Blais will go with the team, travel around. He's an NHL vet, and Kapanen can still refine his skills. I think Sammy Blais is who he is.
But if I'm not mistaken, Kapanen, who would probably go to Laval, he's got the choice to go back home if he doesn't make it to the NHL roster.
I think they'll push for him to go to Laval. They'll say, we want you there. And sure, he'll do what he wants, but I really do think, if he's eligible, I don't know how that works either with the teams in Europe and if they have to report or not.
They don't have to. They have the choice to.
Okay, but when I look at this,
Roher,
he goes back.
He went back already. He's gone.
I know. But realistically, again, there's one spot. People are talking about Florian making it this. There's one spot, guys, and Joe Veleno has, like you say, NHL experience, has looked good, can play center, lets Newhook go to the wing, could be a very dangerous third line.
I thought the question was, what would you do, not what do you think is going to happen?
Well, is it not the same?
No.
What is this little chime happening here in the background?
Sorry. My laundry, okay?
All right, no problem. Yeah,
if I'm Kent Hughes, with the way Florian Xhekaj is playing, it's really, and if you really believe and think that he makes your bottom six bet that much better, you find a way to fit him in, even if it means you make a move. End the story. Because at the end of the day, that's the message you want to convey too. If you work hard and you fit in, and your development curve has hit a certain point where you're NHL ready, we'll make space for you. If you're part of the future plans, we make space for you.
He's just so young.
Yeah.
He's got so much time left still to refine his skills, and they don't need him. He's nice to have. Show me he scores 30 this season in the AHL again, and last year wasn't a fluke. Next year, he's on the team. He's in your bottom six. It's his
he's
spot.
already a presence, and the way he plays.
His brother's
like
already up there. You don't need two sheriff or sheriff and a deputy or
not
whatever they're going to call him. You know,
it's not about the sheriff or deputy. It's like even when you see Florian play, he's got skill. He's good.
Look, what do they say? You can't burn a player if you keep him in the AHL, but you can burn him if you bring him up too early, right?
Aren't you tired of rushing guys? You have players that won't hurt you, that can fit the bill now, that are older, that are here on low contracts, that are trying to remake a name for themselves.
You
asked me.
I did ask you.
What would I do?
I said Florian Xhekaj. And Kapanen and Veleno. You named 5 guys that are going to make the team.
I give him the 9-game stint.
Send Demidov down, right? Well, I mean,
I give him the 9 games, but the guy who stays no matter what, and you're not breaking your head on that, is Joe Veleno.
Yeah.
So if you're giving Florian the 9 games, you have to send both Sammy Blais and Kapanen down.
Go.
Okay. All right. As long as we're all clear about that, not everybody can stay at the party.
Right now, with the way it is, not many teams are going to put on a waiver claim on Sammy Blais.
I don't disagree. I'm not saying these are guys that you're terrified to send down. Also, I don't think Sammy Blais made that big of an impact in the preseason anyways.
No, so
nobody's really talking about it.
So
I'm not saying boo to it. What I am saying is you have a 21-year-old Florian Xhekaj taking the place playing over Joe Veleno, who had really solid games, is a 25-year-old veteran of the NHL, and they're both going to jockey for that 3. Like you have
you're starting.
So if Florian plays, you have Newhook playing center.
You're bringing Florian with you on the road trip and on the games for at least 9 games, just to be around the NHL, be around the coaching, the tutelage, all that stuff. You're going to bring him around because he deserved it and he makes some of that NHL dollars. He earned it. If you don't do that for the kids who work their asses off, then what are you doing?
That's a fair point. Also, it makes him hungrier, right? He gets a little taste.
Honestly, I mean, and I really like him. So like, don't think I'm trying to eviscerate the kid. I don't think what he's done has necessarily cemented him in the sort of, he's earned it, he's got to have a spot.
He's earned it to at least be around the team for 9 games. I'm not saying he earned it in the sense that this guy's a lock to be here for all 82. He's earned it for 9 games. And if you're saying
it wouldn't shock here, you know what? It wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't put him.
Sammy Blais is not in the Montreal Canadiens long-term plan. So if they have to send him through waivers because we got to make a spot so that Florian could stay for 9 games, they're gonna do it. The question is going to come down to Kapanen.
The fear really is, and that's it. Kapanen to me is closer to NHL ready than he is. Yeah. I think Kapanen floating back and forth as that 13th guy until he proves and takes the reins, that makes more sense to me. And having Florian start in Laval, top line, top minutes, and really going through that motion again will only make him better. I see no reason to rush a 21-year-old up because he had a really good 1 game in the preseason and he had a good previous season in the AHL. Not an outstanding all-star season, but like a good season because the expectations were at 0.
Okay, so they have a couple of preseason games, right, left? So
two.
if
Yeah.
Florian Xhekaj continues to play for those preseason games as well as he has so far and has
Yeah.
been an impact on the ice and whatnot, you can't look at him and say, we're going to send you down, even though you worked hard, you did everything right and all that. Keep going, kid. I mean, technically you can, but it's not, doesn't send out the right message.
Is he the only one who's playing well?
I would say he's played a notch better than the others.
So, but like a noticeable proper man, this has been night and day difference, or he was a little bit better
in his role and in his pocket as a four, because that's what he'd be. If they put him into one of those NHL games, he'd be on a fourth line. In that scope, yes, he was a notch above her. I'm not keeping Owen Beck so he could be the fourth line center. Sammy Blais, when he was signed, he was signed to be the 13th forward and replace Pizzetta.
Which see what's good about this is Sammy Blais, to your point, can go down, get it doesn't matter because he was there as the extra body. What the kids have shown are they're all ready to be that extra body too. And when they signed Sammy Blais, they weren't sure if those kids were going to be ready to make that jump. Now they know they got 3 of them that are probably really close to going if they need them. And that's great. That's great. Now, you can make an argument that Sammy Blais has a cup and he brings that kind of pedigree too, and it's better to maybe have him around some of the younger guys on the team than another young kid who has proved nothing yet. There's a couple of arguments you can make there. But I think fundamentally, when you look at the line and the chemistry with that Evans, Anderson, Gallagher bottom line, that has its chemistry. They all know their roles. They're all going to play the way they need to play. You got your top line fine, and let's say you've even locked in that second line for now, and that was the plan. If you have Bolduc on one side and you put Newhook, who I don't believe is a proper centerman, I think he's better suited to the wing. If you get a guy who is an actual center, like Veleno, who has been playing very well, you give him the shot. You could argue and try and put Kapanen there too. If Kapanen takes another step in the next 2 games, maybe those two are interchangeable. But I'd much rather see that than bring up Florian, put him on the 4th line wing, move Anderson up one, and just mess the whole thing up for the sake of what?
Do you want to hear? It's interesting. Let me bring this up. Jean-Charles Lajoie's lines.
I mean, I don't know if I want to
you know what? They're interesting. Check this out.
If that's he's putting, I guarantee you right out the gate, he's putting Bolduc on the second line.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, for sure.
He is. Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki,
Demidov.
Kirby Dach.
What?
Oh, okay. He's trying to reconnect that magic. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ivan Demidov.
Yeah.
Centered by Zach Bolduc.
With Slav. Okay. Okay.
Third line. Alex Newhook on the wing.
Yeah.
Joe Veleno as a center.
Yeah.
It's a lot of speed. That and Patrick Laine, who's too slow on the right.
Yeah. You got to go somewhere.
Yeah, which I would swap.
Yeah, switch the wings.
Newhook with Laine for that shot.
Yeah.
Fourth line is it's obvious. Jake Evans, Josh Anderson, Brendan Gallagher.
Yeah. Listen, is it the most insane thing? He's had crazier takes. I don't agree with him, but it's not insane. It's not an insane take that he's saying. Kirby Dach needs to get started. If you start him on the wing on the top line and you get him going, and then maybe that translates if you move him to center and he can quarterback the second line, then yeah, you've done something pretty great. But I don't know. Plus, there's this whole thing with Demidov and the chemistry. Supposedly, a lot of people are not seeing it, or they don't like him with the Dach in line A. Like that line isn't clicking or something. So you got to do something. If that's going to be the case, yeah, you got to break up that top line because Demidov isn't going down; he's going up. And the only place that he can go up is take.
It'd be interesting to see the Montreal's 2 top forward prospects or young kids, anyways, on the same line.
Yeah.
Demidov and Slav.
Yeah. It would be interesting.
Interesting to see. One creates the space and is the big body.
I think the expectations for this year, while everybody wants to see them make the playoffs, and I do feel like that should be at least the bar, there needs to be experimentation this year. You got to discover the chemistry where you can discover it. This is the time to do it, and you should do it right out the gate. You really need to. You need to see what you're working with. You need to see where you need to improve and expand on, and you really have to mix and match. You cannot get locked into certain lines. You really can't. I believe a lot in tandems, not necessarily trios. There are tandems oftentimes that are more defined on a line than the actual trio it is. So, maybe Cole and Nick are the tandem, and you can change Slav around perhaps. They like having him there, but maybe you mix that up a bit. I don't know. Interesting talks. I do have one last little thing. I know we're going a little bit longer on this episode than we.
Go. We're having fun. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll do one more. This one's outside the realm of the Canadiens. We are around that time where fantasy hockey pools are starting.
I have like 4 of them.
Yep. And so quickly, I like to know, for all those listening that are in fantasy pools, who would be a name that you guys can throw out that you would recommend to keep an eye on in those late rounds as a sleeper pick that you think would help a team out, that people are not really high on, or I don't know, whatever. Something like that late round guy that you think would be a good
in
pick
a keeper league?
In a
redraft.
A redraft every year, yeah. Who do you got? Help some of these listeners out here. We're talking like 8, 9, 10th round.
Are you trying to get us to help you with your draft?
I mean, I'll take it. I'll take the help if I agree with you. Throw me out a name. Who's somebody to keep an eye on?
Oh boy. Okay. I'm gonna bring up more. It's a very well-known name. He's a very well-known player, but he had a real awful season last year, and I think a lot of people are gonna they're gonna be hesitant. But if there's a year, go for Elias Pettersson this year.
Not maybe necessarily a late round pick. I think he'll get picked up early anyways, but perhaps pick him up.
I don't think people are going to pick him up in the first 2 rounds like they used to, depending on how deep your pool is.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think that's the year where you might see where you're likely going to see point a game Pettersson again. He's put on some muscle. He seems motivated. You see how even in the preseason game, he's got some bite to his game. He doesn't have the JT Miller. Or he had a full training camp without getting hurt, a full summer without being in pain and things like that. I think Pettersson is a guy that you keep an eye on, and he might drop down in the drafts, and somebody who picks him up as late as he might drop, they're gonna get the rewards from it this year.
Very good, Luca.
I would go for somebody like a young kid, like Will Smith.
Okay.
Or Zane Perek. I would go for like somebody like.
I have him in my head.
I see like a rookie, somebody that's like in their first 2 to 3 years, and
basically a person who you might see as a Calder candidate this year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
well, minus Will Smith there.
Yeah.
Will Smith is
exactly.
So like Michael Misa could be.
Michael Misa definitely, yeah.
Schaefer's going to go high.
Schaefer's going to definitely.
I think people are going to pick Schaefer. You know who I'm thinking? Zegras.
Trevor Zegras, yeah, because he's on his.
I think he's got a stigma. I think people think he's a pretty boy, playboy, doesn't really care, wants to go out, social media, all that time in Anaheim, the not meeting expectations. I think you're going to find magic with this kid in Michkov. They're already clicking from what apparently you can see in preseason. I think he's got something to prove. He's back with his buddy Drysdale. I think you're going to see something there. If you can sneak Zegras in the later rounds, I think you're doing a big pickup.
It's not a bad one. I'd say it's not a bad one.
Well thought out.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
almost as if you had more time to think about it.
It was kind of like, my question. So
I don't know if I trust him, but I get.
Then you know what? Pass. I'll pick him up. So, pass.
I'm not even in the same pool as you.
Don't worry about it. Thank you, everybody, for making it to the end of this one. As always, listen, season's around the corner. We're very excited. I'm sure all of you are too. Let us know in the comments below as well what your take is on Ryanbacher, how you're feeling about him. Are you scared? Are you nervous? Is it bad luck? Is he cursed? Is it just whatever? This is the player he's going to be, injury prone. Let us know. Also, again, about who you think's making the team. We kind of narrowed it down. You got one spot left to fill there with possibly a 13th forward. Very curious to know who's made an impression for you. Always very, very fun to read the comments, and we welcome any and everybody to give their feedback about us and the questions and the answers and all that kind of stuff. We really appreciate it. As always, like and subscribe. Apparently that helps with the algorithm. So thank you for that. And hopefully we'll have Dave on the episode next time. But until then, for Vito and Luca, I'm Matt, and this was
Get Pucked.